If you look at the average person's life program, it starts at birth and you kind of progress along the age spectrum and you get to a point where eventually you retire and eventually you hopefully, not too soon, but eventually you will pass on. So between the beginning and the end, there are a lot of activities that take place, a lot of events that take place. There are events like going to school, getting an education, and starting your first job. There are events like meeting your first loved one, maybe your second loved one, getting married and setting up a home. You might then buy your first fixed property. Another event would be you start a family. As time goes on, you may become ill, may have some sort of accident or serious illness. You may end up having to take care of your parents. There's a real issue globally today which is called the sandwich generation. And what this is household units who have their children that they're caring for, and they also have their parents who, for whatever reason, are not able to look after themselves. So the sandwich generation kind of gets stuck literally in the sandwich. So that would be an event. Then you get possibly divorce. There's a very high divorce rate, certainly in our country. You can get to retirement age, and post-retirement you can perhaps become ill as you get older. So the reason I'm mentioning all these events is that each of these events requires a careful, thought-out plan to provide for them. If you simply embark on your life and these events happen, they come as a bit of a surprise. Sort of, wow, how did that happen? But you know that these events are going to come. So we would argue that it is better to acknowledge that these events come and will come to you. Some of them definitely, some of them perhaps not, some of them maybe later. But with each of these events that you plan for it. And this is the concept of a financial plan. So a lot of people talk about the need for financial plans, and it's difficult for consumers to understand why. What's the purpose of it? The purpose is to provide for the events that will come during your lifetime. Some of them may be shocks, some of them may be celebrations, but it does require planning. If I can give an example, if you are a young married couple and you would like your children to go to university, for example, you should start to save earlier so that you can build up the required amount of capital to be able to pay for that child's education. If you would like to stop work at the age of 50 or 55, and most people would, you need to clearly understand what that will require in terms of capital to enable you to do that. If you want to be protected against illness post-retirement, when your income has kind of stopped, and you want to be able to afford the best medical care, not be dependent on, for example, state medical care, you should ensure that you have sufficient capital in your retirement plan to be able to fund those sorts of capital requirements and needs. So how does one go about doing this? Do you sort of draw a timeline and you kind of put in the timeline the sorts of events that you think you may happen and then start a plan? That's one way of doing it. I would suggest that it is safer and certainly in the interest of the majority of people to have a financial advisor. Someone who can keep you on track, someone who can help you have the kind of discussions that are quite difficult to have. It's very difficult to have a discussion with your parents who are dependent on you and say to your parents, Mom, Dad, we can't afford for you to keep staying in the house that you're in. You're going to have to move in with us. That's a difficult discussion to have. And having a financial planner or financial advisor gives you the ability to have these tough conversations. To illustrate the value of a financial advisor, I'd like to use an analogy. If you have a medical condition and you're not sure what it is, you think it might be something, you diagnose it yourself, you self-treat, you self-medicate, you buy stuff across the counter in the pharmacy, and after a number of weeks or days, you discover that this is in fact a misdiagnosis and the incorrect treatment. You then go to a medical professional who applies their experience, their technical skills, their professional skills. They help you to identify what the condition is. They prescribe a treatment, you follow the treatment, and the result is that you're healed. And that's the same role that a good financial advisor will play. The analysis of your condition, prescribe treatment, keeping you honest in terms of staying with your treatment, and if you stay the course, the result is financial wellness. Life is going to present a number of challenges, going to present a number of wonderful opportunities and a number of threats. It is important to understand that, to acknowledge it, to plan for it, and in that way, you are able to survive the kind of shocks that life will bring your way. It is my view that having a financial advisor to assist you in that diagnosis, treatment prescription, and the final outcome of financial wellness is in everybody's interest.